Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. We need to talk about the Boys Planet finale. Now, I made a recording for the first episode of Boys Planet, and now we have come and gone with the finale, and I have lots of feelings about lots of things that I need to get off my chest. So let's start off with the group name. The group is named Zero Base One, aka ZB1, and it is certainly a name. Who's picking this? You have so many great options. I will say, it's better than Kepler. Kepler is a trash name, and you can't convince me otherwise. So ZB1, Zero Base One, is slightly better, but the bar is low. The bar is so low, you can't even limbo under it. It's bad. Anyway. Can we bring back good names like IOI, 101, IZ1? Why we gotta do this? Speaking of, we really should have 11, 12 member lineup here because we lost some good ones, and I really think that we should just extend the group. Anyway, I'm in my feelings. Let's talk about the group itself. Objectively, we have a great group. I definitely think that we have trainees that when you look at them as a group, I think that they will mesh well together. I think that when you look at the strengths and weaknesses of trainees, they balance each other out well. Now, some people have said who's gonna sing? But people said the same thing about Kepler. And I think that in some ways it's beneficial to have a more even vocal line because you have people with different vocal colors who are able to stand out in different ways that maybe they wouldn't have if you had one exceptional or two exceptional main vocals, right? And so I definitely think that this is going to be a hardcore dance group. I mean, even with Taeray, who you could say is objectively the weakest dancer out of this bunch, which he is the one who will tell you that, right? He admitted it in training that he's not the best dancer, and I definitely think objectively looking at this group, he's probably the weakest dancer. But I think that he can keep up. I think that he's going to train hard. I don't think it's going to be any problem. And so, like I said, when you look at the strengths and weaknesses of this group, you definitely have a solid, cohesive, really exceptional lineup. Objectively, this is a really great group. And I keep saying objectively because I am in my feelings, okay? I am not happy that my picks didn't make it. Some of the top people I had did not make it. But I definitely think that, we can... It's a good thing that we have a month or so before this group is going to debut because I think that people will be able to lick their wounds, to heal their hearts, not having their one pick in the group. And I really think that this group is going to surprise a lot of people. I think that this is a very, very well-rounded group. And I think that once people calm down a bit and kind of get over it that their favorite didn't make it, that this group could surprise them. I think they are stanable. Now, do I think that I'm going to stan? Probably not. But also, the name of my channel is Ultimate Girl Group Stan. I don't really like boy groups. The whole reason why I got into the show and kept watching it is because of Jay. And I stayed because I liked some of the other guys on the show too. So, yeah, I definitely think I might be more casual listener, casual viewer. But I don't think that I'm going to stan this group. But also, I don't really stan boy groups in general. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, holding out hope for a JBJ type situation because, this top 18 was stacked with talent. I think that this is the first time that we have had solely 3-star and 4-star trainees in the finals. I feel like all the other produced series, we've had, people who ranked on the lower end in their signal song test make it to the end and even make it into the group. But here, that didn't happen. You literally have some of the best trainees that this show had to offer. Now, we could definitely talk about the huge losses we had along the way, Woonki, Haruto, Wamuti. They all should have made it into the finals. But this final 18 was stacked. period. And so, like, I think a lot of people thought that it would just be a bloodbath, especially with how close the points were in the third elimination ranking. It was going to be a hot mess no matter what. I definitely am disappointed that Camden didn't make it. I mean, he was kind of like a long shot either way, but he's a really great performer. He's a really great rapper. It's hard to see him go. I'm sad about Park Han Bin. I definitely thought, like, he was an Mnet pick from the beginning. Dude had storyline after storyline after storyline. And I really think that from the Wake One trainees, Park Han Bin was the one that Mnet was rooting for the most to make it into the final group. I definitely think they gave a lot of attention to Tae-rae after he started rising in the ranks, when they realized, like, oh crap, this kid might make it into the final group, and he's a Wake One trainee. Let's give him some camera time and some attention. So I'm really sad that Park Han Bin didn't make it. And I definitely think that Park Han Bin is one of those trainees that, like, if he made it into the final group, nobody would have been upset about it. Not one person. People would have been like, oh my gosh, he's so talented, he's so great, like, I'm so happy he made it. Because that was the reaction during the third elimination Survivor whatever, where they announced that he made it and then saved everybody else. Nobody was upset about it. Everybody was like, oh, that's so great that he made it. So it's really disappointing that he didn't make it into the final group. And then Kaita, like, I just, it's sad that, like, he really didn't have a strong one-pick Korean fan base. He was hard carried by international fans when he is so talented, all because he's short. At least that is the reason that I've seen translated on the Boys Planet subreddit, that he's short and so he didn't have a big Korean one pick. And then we get to my baby. Oh wait, let me go back to Kaita real quick. Dude is talented, like arguably one of the best rappers on the show. And so I think it's really sad to see him go. I was holding out hope that he would make it through, like push through on his international one pick, and obviously that wasn't enough, and it's really disappointing that someone who's such a strong candidate didn't get to make it. Let's talk about my baby Jay. So I'm upset about Jay for multiple reasons. For one, I think that Jay was collateral damage, and I also think that he was strategic on Mnet's part. So I think that Mnet definitely wanted a Wake One trainee into the finals, the final group, which is why Park Han Bin and Tae-rae were shown to be the two, like, borderline trainees in the interim ranking. Mnet knew people were going to panic vote them. I think ideally people would have panic voted both of them in, but Tae-rae is the one who got the most panic votes because dude went from 11 to, 6 in this final group. And so I definitely think that Jay was in the top. I mean, his one pick was strong internationally. People were holding all kinds of events to make sure that he had the votes behind him. And I think Mnet did what Mnet does and said, we want the group that we want. Let's do this. And I will also say, I think that Wake One has to have a trainee in the group because they're the ones managing the group. And I think Mnet made sure that a Wake One trainee would make it into the group. It just so happened that that was Tae-rae. And this is no hate against Tae-rae. Like I said, I think that he's a great performer. This is hate against Mnet, okay? And I think that Jay maybe could have made it into the group if Ricky was ranked lower. Mnet didn't want Ricky in this group. You cannot convince me otherwise. Dude had no storyline the whole season. And the one time he did have some sort of storyline and was a little bit featured, it was so that he could get a negative edit. And luckily, Ricky's just one of those people that has, like, zero affect. Like, no facial expressions, very little physical reaction to things. Unless he's performing, of course. And so it didn't work out the way Mnet wanted it to. I don't think they wanted two Chinese. I don't know. Are Zhang Hao and Ricky Chinese? I don't want to say Chinese if they're not from China, So Mandarin speaking individuals in the final group. I definitely don't think they wanted that or saw it coming. which is how we know this was not rigged, right? Because Ricky made it into the group. They would have definitely taken Park Han-bin over Ricky, okay? And so I think that if Ricky ranked lower, if Jiwoong, Gyuvin, and Yoojin ranked higher, they would have been fine showing the interim ranking or the ninth place candidates like they did for Girls Planet 999, like they did for Produce 101. I don't want to talk about the other Produce series because their final groups were rigged, so like I don't think it's a good example to use. But they really, I think, would have been fine with Jay being in the group in exchange for Ricky. They weren't going to give up any of the Korean trainees, period. Even Gunwook, who like was really teetering on the edge the last many elimination ceremonies of making it into the group or not making it into the group, they would have taken him just because he's Korean. Even though he deserves to be in the group. Like, dude is crazy talented. So yeah, it's sad and it's disappointing that Jay didn't make it into the final group. Even more so that he ranked 10th. I think I would have been more okay with him ranking like 15th, right? But knowing he was so close, knowing it was only 100,000 points, not votes, points, that separated him from, or 116,000 votes that separated him from being in the final group, like that hurts even more. You know, like there's a saying, second place is the first place loser, right? So like it would have been totally fine if he was 15th, but being 10th is just like, gut punch. Like, I will say, if any of the top 18, 10 through 18 was your one pick, you know, don't give up on them. We've seen it happen before where people sign with new companies, re-debut, come back years later and are on top of the industry. So hold out hope for your person, your one pick, and keep supporting them. Let them know that they have people all around the world who love them and support them and want them to win. Holding out hope for a JBJ type situation. I would love for one of the companies to be like, yo, like, let's get together and do this. It didn't happen with Girls Planet 999 or Produce 48. I don't know if it happened with X1 because I didn't watch it. But I'm holding out hope that, you know, this like renaissance of Mnet's survival shows, that with this much interest, people would be interested in seeing these trainees come together again and perform as a group. Even if it's just for like 9 months, just give me just one track with Jay, Kaita, Park Han-bin, Camden, at least. Like, put whoever else you want in there, but at least give me those 4. Okay. I have expressed my sorrows. Overall, I definitely think Mnet was on their snake business this whole season. I mean, the storylines that they did. We can talk about evil editing versus a bad edit versus a storyline edit, right? But I will say the filler content this season was probably some of the best filler content we've gotten from Mnet, right? I definitely think that they did things that were heartwarming, that were funny and entertaining. I mean, you cannot tell me that Camden as Princess Dubin was not hilarious. Like, I was busting out laughing the whole time I was watching that. I loved that they got to perform for their families, even though Mnet didn't invite all their families, but that's another story. I love that, you know, their feet were held to the fire and that they couldn't rig, even though they definitely tried to rig in the ways that they could, like I mentioned about Jay. But they couldn't rig Ricky out of the group. They couldn't rig Zhang Hao out of first place, you know, and I think that that is definitely great for us as fans. I think it's great for the boys, for a fair competition. And I think overall this season was really entertaining to watch. It hurts my heart a little bit that it's over. It's really sad that I'm not going to get to see these boys that I have, you know, gotten a soft spot for over the last couple months. But I definitely think overall it was nice for them to get the exposure. I think that there is a bright future ahead of so many of them. I definitely think that there's some that we're never going to see again, because that's just how this happens. This is how this works. But I definitely think for the top 18 and maybe even for the top 27 that we will definitely see a majority of them again in some capacity, which is really exciting. It's just, it's not the same. It's going to be different. And I'm really excited for Girls Planet to come back because, I'm a girl group stan. I can't deal with boy groups that often or that frequently. Like I said, I'm probably not going to, I don't know if I said this, I'm probably not going to stan this group, and not because they're not stan worthy, because I don't really care for boy groups. So I might be like a casual listener. I might like watch some content here or there for Ricky or Matthew, who I think are my favorites that made it into the group. And Yuvin too. I've really grown to like Yuvin. But I'm not a boy group person. Give me a girl group any day of the week and I will be there. So definitely not going to stand this group, but it's been a fun ride. I'm really excited for their future. I think ZV1 is going to be a big hit. I think they might even start turning the waves back to like a boy group renaissance. We've seen girl groups killing it the last couple years in K-pop, and boy groups have kind of been, here, there, a little wishy-washy, especially if they're not from a big 3 or HYBE company. So yeah, I'm really excited for their future. I have very positive wishes and thoughts for them, and I know that they're going to rise to the standards that they've already set for themselves. So to everybody who's watched Boys Planet this season, I hope that you were at least able to enjoy it. I hope it gave you something to look forward to. I hope it got you out of the humdrum BS that is everyday life. And I know that you've probably gotten really emotionally invested in these boys and their successes. So I hope that you can continue to support them. Like I said, if your one pick didn't make it, lick your wounds and continue to support them in private. If your one pick did make it, you've got a great group to keep an eye on over the next 2.5 years. And there we go. So I'm signing off. I will see you for Girls Planet, which I am so excited for. It'll probably be coming out next year. You know that I will be making weekly videos for that because I love me some girl groups. I'm going to continue making content. Drop it down below, anything that you want to share. I will see you next time. Bye.